updated yet there, Mayor Pro Tem?
It's still updating. It's trying to start me. We'll see what happens.
Latest Windows update is, so it was on.
Yeah, it was on. Okay, are we live and recording?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening. I'd like to welcome you and call to the order the April, what's the date? 8th, 2025 City Council meeting, City Council regular meeting. First, I'd like to state our guiding principles. In the actions that we are about to take, are we raising the bar in all of our actions? Are we honoring the past but not living in the past? Are we building positive connections with our community and outside partners? And is the decision-making process building a diverse, equitable, and inclusive community? With that, I'd like to have you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So first of all, some of you may have noticed I'm not Rob Patansu. I am acting Mayor Pro Tem, and I'll be leading tonight's meeting. First order of business is approval of agenda.
Mayor, Pro Tem, I'd like to move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, we got approval by Councilmember Rosapepe and second by Trineri. Now we have an opportunity for comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to
We have
address.
to vote.
Oh,
Mayor, we need to vote on
oh,
that.
I already failed my first. All right. All those in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
All in favor? Thank you.
It's a good thing we have the Mayor Pro Tem right next to you.
Probably trying to move this along too fast for my own good. All right. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the City Council on agenda items that are not associated with the public hearing on this agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please approach the podium or raise your Zoom hand if viewing remotely after this in-person comments, and you'll be recognized. If you are attending remotely, you can state your name for the record and press *9 from your keypad to raise your hand, again, after in-person testimony. Anybody like to? Sir.
Stan McKenzie.
Would you please be recognized at the podium? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Stan McKenzie. I live over in Harrison. My wife and I have been here for the last 7 years. We moved from Issaquah, Washington. My wife is a military consultant, and we moved here from that. I want to mention that because my suggestions here that I'm just about to make are observations, and I have no nefarious agenda or no political gain for these suggestions. But throughout our 7 years here, we have heard that there are plans to upgrade Bay Street. Since the theater rebuilding and the large condo building are the only upgraded buildings in many years, the vacant and recently torn down buildings signify a dying town to tourists that are coming to town. Like most cities, there is likely no money to go into the town's upgrades right now, and the coffers are probably pretty thin as far as the owners are concerned too. So anything that's done as an upgrade, it has to be very inexpensive. Like most, let's face it, most people are no longer to flock to malls, small towns, or strip malls. However, have you been to Langley or say Poulsbo, Leavenworth, or even Solvang, California recently? What you will see is these are actually destination points, and they're very busy, and people are buying their goods and services, and it's a great tax revenue. I suggest painting the facades of the Bay Street buildings with the color combinations that you would get from the nautical themes of Cape Cod. Bay Street architecture lends itself to the Cape Cod theme of white, light blue, light, and different hues of gray and dark trim. The buildings are already having an early Americana architecture that suits that motif. Our town hall has just upgraded to a Cape Cod look, and the rest of Bay Street could follow suit. And the proper color schemes along Bay Street would generate a nautical antique feeling befitting our waterfront and mosquito fleet, creating a tourist attraction. Some say that this would be like putting makeup on a pig, covering the actual needs to repair and upgrade these buildings, and they would be correct. But painting with a Cape Cod theme now is the cheapest way to make sure that we don't lose revenue for now and then up in the future, and it would make that our little nautical port a city destination. It would move us towards the serious renovations and revenue as revenue would soar, creating the opportunity to update each building individually as is needed. I suggest putting together a committee to study this, and if the council is ready, has not already done so, I would suggest a professionally administered strategic planning meeting that could be held and create a 20-year plan. Otherwise, the port will become a soulless as West Seattle has become, if you haven't seen that recently. And that's it.
Thank you for your
Thank
testimony,
you.
your comments. Anybody else wishing to speak?
Thank you.
We've got one here in person. Please, sir, step to the podium.
Yeah, should I come up?
Yes, please.
Yeah, my name is Rick Boston. I'm a owner of a commercial rental property here in Port Orchard. And I love Port Orchard in that it's such a quaint, fun little waterfront community like we all love it for. And you have beautiful goals for having nice local services for our people. And the small businesses are creative, interesting, and successful. But in the last few years, the city has people that I would call bureaucrats that are taking action that is kind of killing those goals or those dreams that we have. So I want to describe a business experience that I've just had, and I desperately need elected city council and the mayor to understand what's happening to little small businesses. So I've owned an 85-year-old building there at 1460 Sedgwick for 20 years. It's just across from the new Starbucks over there. And the issue has arisen whenever one tenant moves out and another moves in from the office, it's a big, terrible process with the city. I was annexed in 2013, so most of my experience has been with the county and no problems, but with the city, it's very, very difficult. So recently, last October, Olympic Tree Service, which you might recognize, moved out, and in November, an outfit called Champion Massage rented the office space for me and applied for permits. On December 10th, he had requested the city to come in and inspect for use and occupancy, and they did. Christine Civiletti, the code person, came there and made a huge, huge stink over our building. And the reason why is we had replaced some 6-foot-high dividers, which are like these, normal office dividers. Here, I'll just leave that there.
Thank you.
He wanted more privacy, and we replaced them with dividers that went clear to the ceiling, so they're 18 inches higher. They were lightweight wood panels. They were non-load-bearing dividers. Probably cost him about $400 to put them together. And also, we had a back door that had been kicked in, an interior door kicked in by burglars in the interim, and who had broken in. And he didn't need that back area, so we simply put a piece of drywall, $20 drywall, covered that up. When the code lady came, she was really upset that we didn't have permits, asked for permits, and we submitted them within a few days and set drawings too. But the problem is the building people required this to be drawn by an architect. That cost me $2,000 to pay an architect, and it took 2 months to get him to get the drawings, although they're very, very simple. And as of today, 4 months later, we still don't have an occupancy permit, and we have death threats from the code people not to go into the building at all. Her behavior was so rude that the cleaning lady that we had there won't come back and clean. She's afraid of the city. So now after this 4-month delay, it's cost me over $10,000 plus the $2,000 for the architect for no reasonable reason. There's no structural issue, there's no fire issue, there's no safety issue, there's nothing. We wanted to remove the panels. It only took us 2 hours to take them out. but we were seriously threatened not to take the panels out, and we have repetitive threats from the code lady for $250 a day fines. On top of that, a city person has commanded us never to use the small office in the back because there's a couple of stairs to go up to it, and so it's not ADA compliant for that little back office. The other 6 entrances to the building are. So my tenant now wants to abandon Port Orchard, as this ridiculous behavior has never occurred in his businesses, which he has in Renton and Linwood. And the result is it'll be one less service for the citizen of Port Orchard. And for me, with no income, maintaining the building and grounds will turn into a dump site filled with homeless transients. Total destruction of the goals that you and I love. So councilpersons Heidi Fenton and Eric Warden have toured the property, and they'll tell you about it. Please, I beg you all to come see this property and then discuss with the city people their attitude and maybe their policies on dealing when one tenant moves out and another tenant moves in. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Anybody else in person would like to provide comments? Please step forward. Seeing none, can we go to the online attendance and see if there's anybody who has their hand raised? I'm not able to tell because my computer is not working.
There is
Yeah, there
someone
is one person, and it is Craig Krabby, and I'm allowing him to speak now.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Craig Krabby. I'm here this evening on behalf of McCormick Communities. Excuse me. Tonight, we have another final plat on your consent agenda. And again, I just want to thank staff for all their hard work in pulling all the necessary documents together so that this final plat can make it to the council this evening. Kind of a special thanks to Chris Hammer, who, as far as I can tell, up until just a few weeks, has been carrying virtually all of the engineering load in Public Works, which is kind of a segue into my next topic, which is to inform you all that you guys are understaffed, horribly understaffed, and so this evening, on behalf of McCormick Communities, we would like you guys to look at your staffing requirements. We think that you need more people in the building department, certainly, probably in engineering and probably in planning. Right now, we have 2 builders that will probably stop building in McCormick Woods because it's taking them so long to get building permits. Now, we are compiling data, and we will show you over the last 4 years how the time period between application and receiving a building permit has tripled in the last year. And so we would ask you to look at this. We believe that staffing certainly is part of the problem, but also it may be that systems need to be put 3 bridges, a well to drill. I mean, those are the things that I know about. And I know that I'll be working with Nick Bond and Dennis, and it's very likely there will be additional utility improvements that I have to undertake. So we won't be slowing down even if the economy does for a short period. So thank you for listening to my comments.
Thank you for your comments.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else online? Okay, with that, we'll move into consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem, I motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion of approval by Councilmember Morrissey and a second by Fenton. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. So we have a presentation, Port Orchard Police Department 2024 Awards. Chief Matt Brown, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Council, and really appreciate you allowing us some time here to kind of show off members of the team that were able to make it today and talk about their accomplishments in 2024. The team that we have built over the last few years is one of the most amazing that I've ever had an opportunity to work with. They truly care about each other and in this community. They're professionals, and I'm absolutely honored to work with them. And so we're here tonight to recognize not only the great work of our entire team, but also the exceptional work of some of our teammates and what they've done in this community. I have the honor of calling these recipients forward. So the first one, for those of you that I call, if you wouldn't mind just coming up and standing with me, but this is the Narcan Administration Award. And this award is bestowed upon those who successfully administered Narcan, which is naloxone for opioid overdoses, is successfully administered without the need for other life-saving measures. And as we're all aware, opioid overdoses are becoming a tragically routine occurrence in our community. And in 2023 versus 2024 was an increase of 375% of just our administration, not counting overdoses that were managed in other means, either by the fire department or by individuals themselves. And so for those who are here tonight, please come up and join me when I call your name. Sergeant Donna Main had 3 saves. Officer DJ Hubricks also had 3 saves. Sergeant Josh Horsley had 2. Officer Noah Sanchez had 2. Officer Nick Smith had 2. Sergeant John Eilertson, Sergeant Andy Walton, Officer Amy Allen, Officer Austin Colbert, Officer Austin Hodnett, Officer Robert Luke, and Officer Mike Muley. And like I said, all of these represent lives saved, and some of them multiple lives saved. So thank you. So the next we're going to talk about is our life-saving medal. And so the life-saving medal is awarded for an act that attempts to and or results in the saving of a human life. This year the award was earned 3 times, and it's a testament to the hard work and dedication from the members of this department and our willingness to put human life above our own. And so as I read these, I'm going to ask you to please come up for those of you that are here. So on January 13th, Officer Amy Allen responded to an unconscious subject who was not breathing. Upon arrival, Officer Allen and Officer Sanchez located the male in the rear seat of a taxi. They quickly removed the subject from the seat, placed him on the ground, and Officer Allen began CPR while Officer Sanchez administered Narcan. Officer Allen continued CPR until relieved by medics from South Kitsap Fire and Rescue. And while the man ultimately passed because of his overdose, he was given a chance to have additional life-saving measures because she acted quickly. Unfortunately, the other 2 officers I don't believe were able to join us tonight, but I think it's important that you hear their stories as well. On June 30th, Officer Josiah Gaps responded to a call for service that involved an infant in distress who was no longer breathing. He was on scene within 30 seconds and immediately began life-saving efforts. Medics from South Kitsap Fire and Rescue arrived a short time later and continued these efforts. Officer Gaps then served as the lead patrol investigator, and no foul play was suspected. Unfortunately, the child passed away at the hospital, but his dedication allowed the family time to process and say their goodbyes. And as a testament to his empathy and compassion, Officer Gaps and others were invited by the family to a private memorial service for young Rowan. On August 4th, Officer Austin Hodnett was on routine patrol when when he observed a male standing on the Blackjack Bridge. Recognizing something about the behavior seemed off, he stopped and contacted the man. His instincts were solid, and he discovered the male was in crisis. The man shared that he was struggling with his transition from the military to the civilian world and had intended to take his own life by jumping from the bridge. Before he was stopped by Officer Hodnett, he had already climbed upon the railing with the intent to jump, but did not commit it. Officer Hodnett demonstrated care and compassion and was able to have the man step away from the railing and receive care. Before leaving in the aid car, the man thanked Officer Hodnett, specifically stating, "You just saved my life." Like, as I said, the valiant efforts of these officers show compassion and a willingness to act quickly and decisively for the lives of others. And therefore, these officers are qualified for the life-saving medal. So again, thank you. I'm also honored to be able to give what is called the Police Chief's Commendation. And this is awarded to staff members who have displayed highly professional conduct or performance. And so Kathy Toma, if she wouldn't mind coming and joining me. She's an invaluable team member who demonstrates dedication, teamwork, and positive impact where she serves as, in the Administrative Services Division. She plays a key role in implementing and managing our new RMS system, the Records Management System, and represents our agency in the countywide work group. She also manages inventory and equipment and ensures supplies are readily available for current and new hires. And as we have seen, we've had a lot of new hires. It's very important, the work that she does, because they feel welcome when they come join our team, and they're welcome as soon as they show up. She recently received a commendation from a member of the Finance Department for her efforts during the annual inventory audit. In the short time that I have been here, she has completely turned that program around for us, where we know where pretty much everything is, and we track a lot of smaller things than the city does at large. And with the onboarding too, I mean, it's what makes our team so special, is that when we have people show up, we are ready to go for them. Their appointments are scheduled, their equipment is clean and ready to go. And so the day, we had a new officer start yesterday morning, and it's fantastic that she has set that up. I am going to read just one quote. Kathy's sense of humor and positive attitude has made her a joy to work with. She has a unique ability to lighten the mood and bring smiles to the faces of her colleagues, even during challenging times, of which there have been many. Her infectious laughter and friendly demeanor has contributed to a welcoming and enjoyable workplace culture. Thank you. The next officer, Officer Hodnett, unfortunately was not able to be here, but I want to read this as well. Austin is a newer officer. I give him a lot of credit. He was hired shortly after COVID, and we had a lot of backups in waiting for the academy, and he sat at our department for 6 months before he was able to go to training, but he got out of the academy and off and running. So he approaches every shift with determination, staying proactive and engaged, and whether making traffic stops, contacting individuals, or handling calls, Officer Hodnett works hard without needing much direction. His commitment to excellence is evident in his willingness to come in early, stay late, and contribute tirelessly to the team. He's continuously improving learning and setting a high standard for his peers. And his work ethic, integrity, and drive make him truly deserving of this recognition. In 2024, Officer Hodnett made 53 arrests, 9 of which were for DUI, and that's half of the total for the entire department. And so I'm going to give you just a couple of examples so that you guys can hear from what his peers are saying. Guy's never sitting still for very longer than a few minutes, and he's always actively contacting, finding, and getting stops and arrests. An example would be in September when Officer Hodnett stopped a vehicle that had just fled a compound that Kitsap County Sheriff's Office was holding on to obtain a search warrant for a domestic violence suspect. And even as a young officer, his instincts were solid because the suspect was hiding in the trunk of that car. I also want to give him credit again as someone who continuously finds DUIs. He had 3 in 2 days, and the first night was a twofer. He stopped the car for DUI, and the suspect's wife stopped to find out why her husband was stopped, and she was also drunk. I can tell you from when I did used to work in the field, that is a lot to deal with, and he does so very, very well. So his actions exemplify our mission, vision, and values, and are worthy of the Chief's commendation. Finally, Officer Sarah Duke, if she's still here. There she is. So Officer Sarah Duke also exemplifies service, honor, and integrity in her work. She consistently goes above and beyond, whether solving crimes or demonstrating kindness and empathy to those in need. Her ability to proactively identify suspects and resolve cases reflect her commitment to keeping this community safe. And her actions are not exceptions. They reflect the officer she is every day. She represents the very best of this profession, and her tireless dedication to justice and compassion has a lasting impact on this community. So I'll give you just a couple. Oftentimes when we have hit and runs, if they don't just dump the car and it's not stolen, or they continue to flee, that can take a lot of time. We had a hit and run recently, and she located the car unoccupied, and even though she's in a marked car, she's able to hide around the corner until he comes back. And then not only that, she was able to chat with him long enough that he decided that he needed to come clean. So we appreciate that. And then the other thing that I really appreciate about her, as I said before, is her empathy. So she recently contacted a member of our unhoused community who was outside of his broken down vehicle with all of his belongings kind of scattered about, and it's on private property. Once she contacted him, she built some rapport, and also with the store clerk who had called wanting the person removed, and found that he had no money, he needed water, he needed food for his dog. Instead of just moving this person on, she used her own funds to buy a large amount of water and gasoline so that he could go ahead and move on and hopefully find some services. And these are just the normal for what she does. And again, I'm very appreciative of that. Thank you. Now I'm going to call up Sergeant Main. So we also have another award called the Exceptional Duty Award, and it is given for excellence in police work or outstanding performance of duties under unusual conditions. But it can also be awarded for outstanding performance over a prolonged period of time and for implementing exemplary problem-solving projects in cooperation with the community. So in 2024, our department and several others in our region were provided a grant to participate in what's called the Community Law Enforcement Aligning in Response to Substance Use Project. It's known as CLEARS, so just remember CLEARS. Sergeant Main volunteered, or was voluntold, I don't remember. But she volunteered to participate with representatives from law, EMS, criminal legal personnel, social service providers, and those with lived experience. Now, this was a year-long project. This wasn't just things that she was doing on her duty time. It also involved her doing some things on her days off. And it was intended to develop regional solutions for those that are suffering from substance use disorders and then enhance positive outcomes for them. There's a recognition, at least from the legislature, that what works in King County may not work in Kitsap, may not work in Columbia County. And so this work group designed a program to distribute bags with personal health items, Narcan, and information on 2 local resource centers with the goal of reaching people where they are and providing an opportunity for them to seek help when ready. And do we still have any bags left? We have a few left. But we're seeing them on people that are walking our streets and know that they at least have the ability to make a phone call if they can, and they have those resources. But there are also many more stories of her taking a more active role in the community with those who are suffering from substance use disorder. And the example that I'm going to give is a young woman named Chelsea. She was addicted to fentanyl and living on our streets. Sergeant Main was absolutely tenacious in trying to get her to treatment, but as we've already said, you need to meet people where they are, and you need to basically wait until they are ready and be available and be there to provide them services. She also worked with Chelsea's family, and eventually Chelsea's father reached out and said, hey, can you help me find her, because I'm not seeing her in Port Orchard anymore. And Sergeant Main went above and beyond and eventually tracked her down to Everett, where she was ready for treatment. She's been sober for 6 months. And what I find unique about this as well is that Sergeant Main has a story that goes behind this. And what do you call these? What do you call them?
There is a starfish story that I came across, and it just fit the situation. And I called Chelsea my light on starfish. She's one that was worthy of saving, and she was saved. So there's a long story behind it, but I won't bore you with it.
I'll do a real quick synopsis of the story. The story is about a little girl on the beach, and she's throwing starfish in the water. And a boy comes up to her and says, why are you throwing the starfish back in the water? She says, so that they may live. And he says, but look at all the starfish. And her response is, at least I saved that one. One other additional story too. So she served as a keynote speaker for a holiday event at Mission Creek Correction Center for Women, and this was the first ever event at the Correction Center that involved law enforcement. And as you can imagine, for the women that are incarcerated, not generally like to see us. But she was invited because of the work that she does in this community. And a quote from one of the speakers was, "It was cool to have our guest speaker come in and be vulnerable with us about her story, and for some of us, we could relate." And Deputy Chief Awashta accompanied her and told me that I had the honor and privilege of hearing the speech Sergeant Main presented that night and was impressed by the vulnerability and heartfelt compassion it delivers. It is yet another example of Sergeant Main's willingness to continually give of herself for the betterment of others. I've been in the profession for a long time. I can definitely say it was one of the most impactful speeches I've ever heard. Your actions save lives, so thank you. So we also do a professional staff member of the year and then a commissioned officer of the year. So I'd like to bring Caroline Eberhardy up. She's our professional staff for 2024. And in our department, administrative services employees perform critical functions that keep our operations running smoothly and efficiently. And these duties include engaging community members who have business with the department, processing everything that is written down, whether it be on paper or digitally, completing public records requests, processing property evidence related to criminal investigations. I could go on, but I've already spoken for a while, so I won't list everything that they do, but it's amazing. And Caroline has exemplified our mission, vision, and values. With her exceptional work ethic and innovative problem solving, it shows a dedication to both this community and her colleagues. In 2024, she independently identified a need and took the initiative to begin the tedious task of digitizing all paper protection orders into the department's digital records management system. This improved efficiency by enabling officers to access critical records remotely rather than having to drive back to the office in the middle of the night when there's no professional staff working. She's been an active participant in our public outreach efforts and attends community events such as our farmers market, Boo Bash, Shop with a Cop, and Coffee with a Cop. She's also had an immediate impact as a member of our social media team. Her creativity and enthusiasm have been a great addition to that group, and she's been active in making important posts to raise public awareness and engagement, and receives 2 commendations just in the last year for doing so. She's known for her positive attitude and willingness to go above and beyond. She manages telephone calls, emails, in-person inquiries with professionalism and care, and ensures that our operations and public interactions run smoothly. And she's established herself in the last few years as highly dependable, knowledgeable, and respected. So thank you. For the last one, I'm going to bring our Officer of the Year up. It's Officer Amy Allen. So Officer Allen consistently demonstrates an absolutely unwavering commitment to our values of service, honor, and integrity. And she's proven herself invaluable to our community in this department. I'm going to give you 2 examples as were provided to us when she was nominated. Child abuse investigations are incredibly complicated. As our newer detectives can attest, that tends to be a lot of what they are required to manage, and not so much in patrol. I give a tremendous amount of credit to Officer Allen, where she took upon a complex child abuse investigation, made sure that she was educated correctly, that she was following the correct path. She sought out mentors, took the full initiative in attending the forensic interview, conducted all of the follow-ups, and ultimately led to an arrest. And again, these are incredibly complex, and making sure that we do it right the first time, because that's the only time we get a crack at it. She's also a dog lover, and she recently worked with a member of the community that had 4 severely abused dogs, and other agencies that tried to work and solve that problem were not able to, but she was. She's also incredibly proactive. Even though we have limited time to do that, I appreciate that she finds the time. And so last year she had 68 total arrests, 22 of which were felonies. She conducted 107 successful follow-up investigations. But beyond her enforcement capabilities, she stands out for her compassion and kindness, particularly towards individuals suffering from substance use disorders. You guys are catching a theme. She consistently offers support, resources, and even transportation to treatment facilities. And while many declined help, she continues to remain a partner with them until they are ready to go, demonstrating a level of empathy and perseverance that really builds trust between the police department and this community. So I'm just going to give a couple of quotes, because I know she enjoys standing up here. Her teammates describe her as a go-getter, hardworking, and helpful. I've seen her take community members to treatment, and I've seen how new and tenured officers follow her lead. That is a big deal, too. Being a younger officer in this profession and having people who are not only your peers, but people who have been on for a while, sometimes to include her sergeant, that's fantastic. Her exemplary performance not only enhances the reputation of our department, but inspires others to strive for excellence. Thank you. Again, thank you guys for allowing us the time. I'm going to ask you, my team, if you guys want to come up just briefly, and we'll get a picture of you guys with Councilman.
Chief, before we do that, I'd like to have people speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's your time,
And,
sir.
I just want to say, for me, this is one of the most impacting presentations the chief has ever given. You relayed some very amazing, powerful, and wonderful stories, and it just hits home how good a police force we have for the city, and it's amazing. And credit to yourself. You know, you're a leader, so you got to accept it.
A little, come on. No. I want to say what a blessing it was just to sit here, all of us, and to listen to the stories. And man, I feel so proud. I'm going to tell everybody that our police officers here in Port Orchard are amazing. And I know how hard it is to be a police officer because my daughter's a police officer over in Paulsbo. And so I just appreciate every single one of you guys.
I'll follow up by echoing some of those comments. I run a business in my day job, so we know it's the frontline people that really, truly make a difference. Hearing those stories tonight truly moves me to know that what very different work we do up here is being lived out by the staff here, and in particular this department. To hear these stories, that's not work I could do by any means. Talking somebody off a bridge, to even think about somebody losing their child, I can't deal with that in any way, shape, or form, and you guys do that on a daily basis. Thank you. Thank you. To hear the stories, I've interacted with some of you, whether that's positively or negatively, but you know, to hear Officer Allen's story. Officer Allen is actually why I ran for city council. She responded to a theft at my business and was nothing but professional, and has had to come more than once to my business, and so you guys do amazing work day in and day out. You see our community members at their worst, and you still show up every day. Thank you.
Picture time. Oh, Fred, go ahead.
I know there's not much left to add because everything's been said, but I consider the police not only the protectors of the city, but also our ambassadors and social workers. And one thing that I kept hearing is that you guys are doing a lot of the navigation duties that some places have a dedicated person to do. So I think you guys are tireless, and you are probably the best face that the city has. So I want to thank you all. I've been fortunate to actually have a ride-along with, I don't know your title, I'm sorry, is it Sergeant Maine? I can't read it from here. And it was memorable and very impressive. She is completely indefatigable. She's going after, you know, it's like in her spare moment, she'd go and follow up on something, and I just remember being sort of tired by her energy and a little car sick by the driving. But it was an amazing experience. Thank you.
All right, any other comments? All right, let's do pictures.
Hey.
Are we? Yeah. Why don't we stay up here behind him? Yeah, that too. No, always.
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys are true.
Congratulations to all of you.
She can sit right there.
Okay. All right, the next agenda item is a public hearing. A public hearing on an ordinance amending school impact fees, amending section 20.182.070 and section 20.184.010 of the Port Orchard Municipal Code. I will call the public hearing to order.
Okay. Okay, give Mr. Bond a second.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Bond.
Isn't he supposed to talk first?
Yes, he is.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council members. The South Kitsap School District has requested that the City of Port Orchard update the school impact fee to comply with a recently passed state law. The city has adopted school impact fees and administers a school impact fee program in accordance with an interlocal agreement between the district and the city. The current school impact fee schedule has been in place and has not changed since 2008. The currently adopted fees are as follows: single family, $1,370.83, multifamily, $861.65. In 2023, the state legislature passed a bill addressing housing that requires changes to the school impact fee rate structure and to the municipal code. Senate Bill 5258 includes a provision codified in RCW 82020601 that requires that impact fees reflect the proportionate impact of new housing units based on square footage, number of bedrooms, or trips generated. South Kitsap School District hired FCS Group to prepare a technical memo outlining a recommended approach to scaling the existing impact fee rates based on housing type to one of the approved methods. The FCS memo recommends the use of the square footage approach and has recommended a new Port Orchard rate of 56 cents per square foot with a minimum and maximum fee. Under the framework, the minimum fee would be $546.62, and the maximum fee would be capped at $2,009.27. As the proposed school impact fee rate proposes to use the square footage approach rather than the per bedroom approach utilized for park impact fees or trips generated used for traffic impact fees, the proposed ordinance adds a new definition for square footage to clarify the method of measuring square footage for the implementation of the school impact fee. The proposed ordinance also adds some language to Port Orchard Municipal Code section 20.182070, requiring that the applicant supply the calculation of square footage along with bedrooms and trips with an application for development. The ordinance proposes that the fee schedule, if adopted, would take effect on July 1st, 2025, consistent with the recently adopted park impact fee ordinance. The City Council reviewed this at its work study meeting on March 18th and has requested the public hearing tonight to be scheduled and for a business item to appear on tonight's agenda. The recommendation is to open the hearing and take public testimony before considering the business item.
Okay. With that, I will open the public hearing. Anybody like to speak on the matter? Anybody online?
This is super random, but I'm just curious, like what percentage of the school impact fees goes where? Is there any?
So this is not a normal interaction, but I'll just answer that. So no, that's all right. The school district gets to set these. We are just a pass-through here. And so any impact fees collected inside the city limits go towards schools that are inside city limits.
Okay.
I appreciate your question, though.
Seeing no one, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. Do we have one online? I can't tell.
They have not raised their hand, but there are 2 citizens online.
Okay. All right, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. Sorry, what? No, it's just a public hearing. Right. So I'm a bit handicapped because I don't have a packet or my computer's not working, so I'm going to try this off my phone. But I think we can move on to business items. And business item 7A. Mr. Bond, I believe this is you.
Yes, so this is the corresponding business item to the public hearing that was just held on school impact fee rates and amending the relevant sections of school impact fee code. And so the staff recommendation is to adopt an ordinance as presented, amending the school impact fees, amending section 20.182070 of the municipal code and section 20.184010 of the municipal code as presented.
All right.
No.
Mr. Rosebuck?
Mayor Pro Tem, I move to adopt an ordinance amending school impact fees, amending section 20.182.070 and Section 20.184.010 Port Orchard Municipal Code as proposed.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion made by Councilmember Rosapepe and seconded by Councilmember Morrison. Any discussion? Go ahead.
And Mayor Pro Tem, just a couple of points. One, and this would be the perfect time to bring those items up that we had a question on. But it's worth noting that in no way does the school district impact fees in any which way are enough to suffice to do what they need to do with the number of people moving in, kids moving in, and the requirements for our buildings that exist within the city, for the schools to keep them abreast of it. So it's always been a question. I think, Nick, you said 2008 was the last time these were amended, and it's always kind of been a bone of contention. I wish they would take a giant leap, but it's something eventually will come to a head within our city limits. But it's a step in the right direction, and I fully support this.
Any other? Go ahead.
Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem, I was just going to maybe add on to some of those comments that came from the question. Additionally, the school district has recommended a 56 cents per square foot in city limits. In the county, because there are more schools in the county, they're recommending, I think it was 84 cents, if I recall right. Don't quote me on that, but it was in the 80s, I know that, for the schools, because there are more schools outside of city limits than there are here. So as I indicated, we don't see any of that money. We just collect it on behalf of the school district, and we distribute it right back out to them. So,
Good point. Any other discussion? Seeing none, let's call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. The next agenda item is business item 7B, an ordinance amending Port Orchard Municipal Code Section 10.12.490 and 10.12.490, probably more, pertaining to Saturday parking enforcement. Mr. Bond, this is you.
Thank you. The City Council has adopted parking prohibitions and restrictions, including time limits, throughout the city to ensure the availability of public parking for public use. Those regulations are codified in Port Orchard Municipal Code Section 10.12. The city regulates parking on public roadways and public parking lots throughout the city. The City Council authorized additional funding for parking enforcement earmarked for Saturday enforcement in key areas, including areas that serve downtown, waterfront businesses and activities, and waterfront park. Currently, city permits unrestricted parking in these areas on Saturday, Sunday, and federal holidays. In order to empower the parking enforcement officers to enforce parking in these areas on Saturday, amendments to the applicable regulations for these areas are required to sections 10.12290, 10.12500, and 10.12500. The impacted areas are depicted on a map supplied in the agenda packet and are city parking lots 2, 3, and 4, and certain portions of Bay Street, Frederick, Harrison, Prospect, Robert Geiger, and Sydney Avenue. Also included in the agenda packet is a general map identifying the city's parking lots by number. Again, only lots 2, 3, and 4 are impacted by the ordinance. Upon adoption of the ordinance, new signage would be installed to further notice this change for the public. Also, upon passage, we intend to do some public outreach through social media and reaching out to the business community to share news of this change. The staff recommendation is to adopt an ordinance amending Port Orchard Municipal Code sections 10.12490, 10.124, that number appears twice, 10.12500, necessary to implement the council direction for Saturday parking enforcement in areas of the city.
All right. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I move to adopt an ordinance amending Port Orchard Municipal Code sections 10.12.490 and 10.12.500 to authorize Saturday parking enforcement in certain areas of the city.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion made by Councilmember Morrissey and a second by Councilmember Chang. Any discussion? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just had a quick question because I just want to make sure that we call it out. In the packet, it said there's no fiscal impact. I assume we're probably going to have to put up some different signs. So while we've already budgeted for the people portion of it, let's not forget the signs, and we're going to get those hung as well, I hope.
I think that the signs, I believe they're just changing the lettering on the signs, not refabricating. And also those signs can be reused, so they may.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a big, I don't think it's a big, I just wanted to make sure that we thought through that so that we're letting people know that, hey, there is parking restrictions on at least, yeah.
And aren't they the same, if it says 2 hour, 4 hour, and that 1 hour by the tractor? I mean, they're still the same as they already were up there. Isn't that correct?
Yes, yeah, we're just going to remove the Saturday, so it'll just say Sunday and holidays now.
The bottom, yeah.
Where does, I'm sure we know that, where exactly does that money go from the parking fees?
It says in here the general fund.
Just the general fund, okay. Sorry, I missed that. But, you know, the audience might want to know too.
Good point. Any other discussion? All right, call for the motion. All those in favor of an ordinance amending Port Orchard Municipal Code Section 10.12.490 and 10.12.500 pertaining to Saturday parking enforcement, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, item 7C, approval of the March 11th council regular meeting minutes. Councilmember Rosapepe?
Mayor Pro Tem, move to approve the minutes of March 11th as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion for approval by Councilmember Rosapepe and a second by Councilmember Trenary. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Is there an abstention? I think I was out, so I will
Yes.
abstain. Okay, motion passes. We're on to 7D, approval of the March 18th, 2025 City Council Work Study Meeting Minutes. A motion for approval? Go ahead.
Mayor Pro Tem, I motion that we approve the work study session meeting minutes from March 18th as presented.
Second.
Okay. Motion made by Councilmember Morrissey and seconded by Councilmember Fenton. And see, one abstention?
I'll be abstaining, yes.
Okay. All right, all those in favor of the March 18th approval of work study meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And one abstention. Okay, we're on to 7E, approval of the March 25, 2025 City Council regular meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I move approval of the March 25th council meeting minutes.
Okay. Second. Okay, we got a motion made by Councilmember Chang and second by Councilmember Trenary. I think I was out for
You
this
and me
one.
both.
Yeah.
So I will also be abstaining.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? 2 abstentions. Okay, those meeting minutes have passed. And now we're on to a discussion item about Port Orchard Municipal Code, Chapter 5.9, Cabaret License. Ms. Archer?
Thank you. Council, before you this evening for discussion is a report staff and myself have prepared. I circulated a memorandum today, just a few hours ago, so I understand if you have not yet had time to review it. You'll note this memorandum was not marked attorney-client privilege. This is not confidential information. It's just the facts. And I'm going to walk through those to facilitate any discussion that you'd like to have this evening. I also recall at our last meeting there was interest in moving this to a work study for further discussion. So however the council wants to move this forward, if at all, that is entirely your purview. I will just give this report and then participate in any discussion as you request. So the information requested by the City Council pertained to the city's regulatory license known as the Cabaret license. And as the Deputy Mayor noted, that is the regulations are found at Chapter 5.2 of the Port Orchard Municipal Code. And so this is an additional license that certain businesses are required to obtain because of aspects of their business, if they meet the definition of a cabaret, which absolutely the word cabaret is fairly antiquated. A lot of other cities in the state of Washington now utilize an entertainment business license, or that terms like that, entertainment and dancing, entertainment and music, but they have a license similar to this. They just don't use that cabaret word. Some still do, and we are one of them. I would note this code has not been touched since 2005, so that's probably why we haven't updated that terminology. But the cabaret license is, again, an additional regulatory license that is required for any business where the business is open for service to the public, where guests, patrons, entertainers, or persons present are allowed to dance, sing, or perform music or live entertainment, including live comedy, in connection with, so there must also be a restaurant business or a business directly selling or indirectly selling food and refreshments, including liquor. So there's multiple elements to that definition, but it involves a business selling food or liquor, plus dancing, music, live entertainment like comedy. And so any business that fits that definition is required to get a general business license and then an enhanced cabaret license, which is an additional regulatory license. So, by way of general background and general education on business licensing, just very briefly, I can dive into this deeper if there's questions, but in the state of Washington, we are empowered to regulate persons or businesses operating in our city who are conducting business within our city. We require that they obtain a general business license, and the rules pertaining to how you apply and the fees and the process are dictated to us through the model ordinance that was crafted through a combination of the legislature and AWC and a group of interested parties who put out this model business ordinance that all cities in Washington are obligated to adopt, which we did. So that model business ordinance applies to the general business license. We have power to adopt and enforce a general business license, and then in addition to that, we have the ability to also require an enhancement to that license in the form of a regulatory license. And these are licenses that are required of businesses that present unique challenges or unique aspects that require additional enforcement activity or additional oversight. So larger cities, Tacoma, for example, has a list of 80 different types of businesses that require enhanced or regulatory licenses. Other agencies have far fewer, Port Orchard being one of them. The cabaret license is one of the ones that we still have. These businesses the businesses that trigger these additional regulatory licenses tend to be those that involve interaction with the public in a significant way. You often think of them as involving code enforcement issues or police issues. Adult entertainment is one of the ones that comes to mind, but it's not all strictly adult entertainment. Entertainment and dancing, as I mentioned before, which I've included in the materials, Tacoma's definition, which at its heart is identical to ours. It's just a bit more expansive in its detail. But any business that has dancing in combination with the service of food or liquor triggers an entertainment and dancing license in the city of Tacoma, for example. And that was just one example that I pulled, but many, many cities in the state require these enhancements for businesses that involve the service of food and liquor plus that entertainment element. So, with that framework in mind, we are authorized as a city to regulate general business licenses and then an additional regulatory enhancement license. The city has done so. I could not find the exact date we started. We're guessing maybe the 80s, but this license has been in place for a very long time and was last touched, as I mentioned, in 2005 when the regulations were updated to reflect the approach that the city was taking at that time. Our license is required of, as I mentioned, any business with that combination of food plus entertainment. And then the applicant is screened by your planning department, your fire department, our fire aspect of our planning department, the police department, and the finance department to ensure that these businesses are current on all applicable federal and state laws. Then, I've also included in the materials sort of a snapshot of how we have actually used this license over time. And I note that my data goes back till 2020, because prior to 2020, the records at this point would have met their retention schedule. So they have been disposed of in accordance with the core retention schedule. So the data that we've provided indicates that this is a license that's used by a handful of businesses in the city. We've had what ranges from 15 to 10 to 9 applications per year. We've been steady at 9 for the past 3 years. And those applications, as I've noted in the materials, are again reviewed by those departments I listed. And primarily they are, that extra level of review is offering the, in particular your building department, the opportunity to review the facilities, which otherwise would not be reviewed on an annual basis. So they're catching these code enforcement issues that may be identified, or these maintenance issues that may be identified. That's the primary use for the license in recent memory. Again, all of those departments review it, so all of those departments have an opportunity to catch anything as far as non-compliance with laws. We've had our first denial recently based on a non-remediated issue with an unpermitted installation of a heating element, which creates a life safety concern. But until this year, we have not had a denial. We were able to gain compliance and issue those licenses in accordance with voluntary compliance by the property, or by the applicant. So that is a framework that is the framework that we utilize for viewing the cabaret license. Again, cabaret being a very antiquated term, entertainment, dancing businesses. That I offer this information to facilitate your discussion. Happy to answer any questions myself or get more information from staff if needed by the council. And I think this is a discussion item with the potential for any action that the council is looking to take on this, just to provide the mayor with direction of how you want staff to take this. So, thank you.
Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to remind council, fellow council members, that the mayor had sent us an email on the 12th of February of this year, talking about the amount of time that staff spends on this, approximate time, and some additional information. He also, at the last sentence, and I'll just read it, my solution is had the city attorney work with our building officials and review our current cabaret license process and report back to city council if any changes are recommended. So, with the exception right now of the word cabaret, which I feel a little bit that we're in the footloose territory of that city, you know, I'm not hearing any changes at this time that you'd recommend. And I think from my viewpoint, having read it and at least thought about it, there may be some process changes that we may want to recommend, but I think the overall intent of this, by having building inspections along with the making sure all the licenses is a prudent thing to do for the safety of the citizens of Port Orchard at this time. So I'm open to, I feel if we want to discuss this at a work study, I'd be all for that if there's something concrete. But right now, from a process standpoint, right now, I believe we had one individual recommend that we would eliminate this. I'm not in favor of that at this point in time. I think it serves a necessary function inside the city. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll go after you.
Okay.
Fred.
Hi.
Hi.
My understanding of page 2 under the general business license portion is we're a code city and we are required to have a model ordinance.
Correct.
So do all model ordinance require that we have an additional license or just a general business license?
The model ordinance is just the general business, correct.
Okay.
So these regulatory enhancements are at the pleasure of each agency.
Okay, so we're not required to have
No.
it. Okay.
Not at all.
And if we do discuss it further at a work study, and I'd be curious to do that, it would be really helpful if we could get a list of all the applicants, if that's not confidential information,
Okay.
like for the years, just to find out who already has a license, and maybe finding out more about the one who didn't get it.
Okay.
And I understand that there are a lot of people who are doing improvements without finding out what kind of improvement they should do.
Right.
And then when they find out that they didn't do it the right way, they get angry. That happens a lot, and I sympathize with that. But that sounds like it might have been the one case that got turned down. But I don't know, maybe we could find out more about the details on that one in a work study.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot more to that back and forth. So yeah, absolutely.
Patty, did you have something?
Yeah, you kind of took some of my words. I was thinking it would be nice to have a list for us as being city council, maybe talk to those people and see how they feel about the extra cabaret. I'm looking on here that the fees ranging from $90 to $2,400.
That's Tacoma, not us. Ours is just $200.
Just $200.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tacoma requires a $2,400 fee for certain businesses.
Yes, and I remember that was the 200. And then it sounds like we already have the code in the general, and is it redundant for them to go ahead and do the cabaret on top of that? And then my other question is, what about like nonprofits that do an event and then they have a comedy night? So how does that go under, with the cabaret license?
Mm-hmm. So I'll start backwards. The last question is, that would be something that would be considered a special event potentially. There would be other regulatory schema that would apply in that scenario. And there are exemptions for nonprofits to certain aspects of the business code. The second question was, I'm sorry, you just said it.
I think we already have a code of the general.
Redundancy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is not considered redundant because it's an enhancement. So essentially the regulatory scheme or the regulatory framework, you have your general business license that applies to all businesses that operate within your city. And then the legislative body has said certain businesses present additional elements of their operation that require additional review. So you have that for, I think I listed a few, where you typically see that, but businesses that sell liquor are typically one of them. Businesses that fireworks sales, massage parlors typically do, anything with live entertainment, and then adult entertainment. Those are the large categories. But any business, for example, in my experience, I've used a regulatory license approach to bring additional oversight to a hookah bar. So businesses that present additional challenges, whether it's public safety or simply the structure of the room and the occupancy load, legislative bodies have decided they want to have an additional enhanced license in addition to the general business license so that you can bring in that oversight, because the business license oversight is very minimal, and we can only approve or disapprove based on what the model ordinance says. We don't have a lot of leeway to review aspects of the business that could create additional public safety challenges. So there's no redundancy in the sense of this is not designed to replace this. This is an enhancement to that.
Enhancement. And you said a massage
massage
place?
Parlors often have those. I apologize, I don't know.
Cabaret license?
What's that?
They need a cabaret license?
No.
Oh, okay.
Those are the types of business
Oh,
that get the regulatory license. Yeah, so they would get an enhanced massage parlor license. But I apologize, I don't know if Port Orchard requires that. That was an example from Tacoma's lengthy list. But you have your own list that the legislative body determined are types of businesses that trigger an enhanced license. The cabaret is just one type of enhanced license. Yeah.
So, did you have something?
Yeah, if I could, before you wrap up. So I have struggled with this one, right? Since hearing from our constituent that came in and brought this to our attention. I think your memorandum helped me a little bit this afternoon get to a point where I am today, seeing that the most we've ever had is 15 applications in a year. And then since COVID, that's dwindled down to 8, 10, and 9 for the last several years. It made me try and harken back to think of where I've experienced live entertainment within our city, and there just really aren't that many venues that offer it today, right? And then now looking and going through the process, because part of what we heard from the constituent was talking around the cumbersome of filling out the form. And I kind of looked at the form and I didn't think it was all too cumbersome. And, you know, for $200, it's not super cost prohibitive for a business either. I think at this point, I am not at a point where I'd like to discuss it any further. We had one person out of 9 give us negative feedback on it, and the others just continue to do it year in and year out. I think it's important for the city to have a policy to look at places that are going to draw larger crowds of people, that may provide, that may create an environment that has some safety concerns, and that we can mitigate that by an extra set of eyes looking at that annually. I think I'm okay with that. So unless something new came to light, I think I'm just okay with what we have, even if it is called cabaret, because I had to think about that, even just the term and how long. I would guess, Ms. Archer, that this has been in effect long before the 80s. I would venture back to probably we've had something in its effect since there were cabarets going on back in the day. So, you know, it just is the nature of that type of business.
I wouldn't mind listening to the other businesses. Maybe they just don't want to come up here and just see what that entails for them. Do they like it or not? Instead of, you know, we have our one constituent business that said that, but it would be nice just as a body, to talk to our business owners.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go out and talk to them, great.
Yeah.
I'm not in the habit of creating problems for the city,
It's
so
not- no, it's just
I just, yeah.
Okay, so, oh, go ahead.
One question, Ms. Archer. Out of the municipalities that you represent, are there any that don't have a license like this in their set of guidelines and rules?
Not that I'm aware of. All of them have something like this. But again, it depends on the needs of your city. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that was my first question is, did we see any jurisdictions that didn't have this? And if they didn't, what was their mechanism to approve similar types of events? But, so if we can possibly find one, I think that'd be great, or 2, that'd be nice. So the other thing that, you know, I wonder about is, could there be sort of an umbrella permit where you apply once and you're good for that year? Or
This is
a year long.
This is a year
Yeah,
long.
yeah, year long.
Yeah, it's not per event or anything. It's just
it's not
for
per
a year.
event, okay,
No.
it's annually, okay. And then the other thing I was curious about, what conditions are we assigning to those cabaret licenses? Because I'd like to, you know, we had somebody testify that a lot of what they're required to do is already borne out in code. So they have to meet code, and the conditions are somewhat redundant because of that. We know that there's life safety inspections that occur for these businesses. I don't know how often they occur, but presumably before the special event opens. So I'd like to know just a little bit more. I know it's only $200, but it's also, if there's a way to look at these a little more efficiently, then it's a staff reallocation of resources, which could have a positive net impact.
Mayor Pro Tem, just a point of order, so we don't go down a rabbit hole. I think the question was whether to move this to a work study or not.
Yes, that was the next thing.
So I would say that it sounds like we have mixed. That's going to be up to the Mayor Pro Tem to ask.
Yeah,
John.
that was the next
Just the
thing I was
thing.
gonna-
So, you know, on that side of the coin. So I think that's the real, at that point of question.
So yeah, let's get a show of hands on who would like to.
Can I just
Yeah, go
have a
ahead.
quick comment? It sounds like we clarified that this is an annual expense. It's not a one-time expense. Okay. And I know we only got one complaint, but often that one complaint may represent other people. They may be speaking on other people's behalfs. I don't think we can expect that 2 people would happen to come the same night for the same thing unless they were really organized. So when you say it's just one, it may be just one, but it may be more.
I'm just saying it was one that I've ever experienced. So, yeah.
But,
I don't
no,
disagree
yeah,
that somebody could. I'm just
yeah.
one that in my years I've never had one. So,
All right, so let's see a show of hands on who'd like to take this to work study. So it's 3. I don't believe that if we use parliamentary procedure that would prevail, so it's not going to work study. Thank you. for your
Yeah.
work and time and delivery on this.
Absolutely, thank you.
But I'd still like a list, please.
Okay, happy to.
You'd still like what?
A list.
A list, okay.
I like to talk to the other businesses.
Okay. All right, with that, we're on reports of council committees. Let me pull it down. Okay, I'm just going to go through the list because I've been out and I don't know who's reported on what. Economic development and tourism?
We haven't had one since the last one, and next week's has been canceled.
Okay, and you reported out on the last one.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All right, utilities?
Utilities did cancel our meeting. It was an update, and I'll talk about that during good of the order.
Okay. Finance?
Finance is meeting next week.
Okay. Transportation, I know that we canceled transportation because of staff shortage, I believe it was. Our next meeting is April 22nd. Land use?
We meet next week.
Next week. Lodging tax advisory?
We were supposed to meet earlier today, however, we did not carry a quorum, and so we are working most likely next Friday.
Right now, it looks like the 18th.
Okay, yep.
18th, okay. Sewer advisory?
We meet in May.
Okay. And outside agency committees, I'm not sure if anybody's got any outside agency committee reports.
I had one I missed while I was out for KETA. I'm sure the mayor can fill us back in because I think he actually attended.
Fair enough. Coffee with council? We didn't put a report together yet.
No, but we'll get that out.
Yeah, I think it'd be helpful if we just, I'll send my comments to Scott, if you'd send your comments to Scott Heidi, and if you'd send it to
Yeah.
Brandy for dissemination. I'll get mine to you tomorrow.
Okay. There is no report of the mayor, except that he's probably doing something funner than this. How about report of department heads? Director Bond?
Nothing to report tonight.
Okay. Chief?
I've spoken quite a bit today, so I'll spare you. But thank
Brandy?
you for letting us have some time tonight.
That was
you.
wonderful.
That was wonderful. Brandy?
I do not have anything. Oh, I do have something to report. So this Thursday, 6 o'clock here at the Chambers, we are having a candidates forum. We have a couple council members that are going to be speaking that are not up for election that can kind of tell you what it's like to be a council member should you be interested. As well, I think we have a member of the school district and possibly the fire district or a port district that will also be here. And then the Kitsap County Elections Division will be here, and they will kind of guide you through what you need to do if you want to be an elected official. So Thursday night, 6 p.m. here in the council chambers.
Okay. Do we have any directors online?
Ms. Wallace, do we need to quorum that while you're on there?
No, because there should only be 3 council members attending. I will double check with the deputy city clerk to make sure that we only have 3.
If we're up, we don't go. So the 4 of
Okay,
us
so
would
we
traditionally not
we shouldn't go. Okay.
But if you wanted to,
You can be an audience.
And just because my mind works the way that it does, Cabaret was a new name in 2005. So originally in 2001, it was
Let us
called
guess.
House Banked Social Cards Games Within the City Limits. So there you go, fun
Oh my
fact.
God, that does sound like the town in
The house
Footloose.
cards?
Much better shortage for that.
Welcome.
So they overhauled that whole section in 2005, and that's why we have cabarets today. There you go.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Director Ryan is online.
Good evening, council members. Thank you. We heard a little bit about some of our development projects tonight that are keeping us all busy, but I wanted to give a quick update on some of our capital projects. So, this last week, we got some good news. Well 11 was officially stamped off by the engineer of record who did the design. That same day, we received a conditional use permit from the Department of Health. So that is online and producing water for the city at about 600 gallons
Dennis, I had one question. Do you have any indication from Ecology how long it might take for them to review Foster Pilot?
Our land mitigation biologist, our biologist for Foster, and then our water rights attorney are optimistic. They say that we can possibly see some resolution by the end of the year.
All right.
Mayor
Not quite
Pro
what we
Tem,
expected to hear.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to remind you, this is my 8th year. My first year,
Yes.
I was on the utility committee, and Foster Pilot was starting then, and is one of 5 cities, and
So your point is, what's another year?
yeah.
I have a question for Dennis. Do you know if the solar power system has a battery? So if, in case of an outage, any production would still go into the system, or would it be lost?
I believe if there was an outage, it's not going to be able to put back into the mainframe.
No battery?
No battery on it.
Okay,
No.
thank you.
You're either full battery or you're net metering. You can't have a
Yeah.
both.
Okay, any other questions for Dennis? Okay, Charlie, you get to close the loop. Ms. Archer.
Thank you so much. Just to flag again, I know you're all monitoring the legislative activities, but my understanding is 2 that we've been monitoring are still alive. One being the use of AI being a bargaining, something that a mandatory bargaining topic. And the bill is, on further glance, is very problematic because the definitions are so broad that they would include Google, for example, which now has an AI component. So the use of Google would become a mandatory bargaining element. So that will be interesting to see how that unfolds. And then, as you're all aware, the property tax increase, the state's permissive property tax to 3% is still alive. It won't change property tax, that's still set by you, but it would give you that additional space that is still alive. So always happy to chat about the legislative activities anytime. And yeah, that's all. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we are now at our second citizen comments period. Sorry. And this is an opportunity for citizens to address the city council on any items that were not associated with a public hearing on tonight's agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Anybody from the audience wish to speak? Hearing none.
There's one person online, but their hand is not raised.
Can we look to online attendance to see if anybody would like to speak?
Oh, the light's working now.
And
The
nothing
person online has not raised their hand, and if they do, remember it's *9 if you wish to.
*9, right, thank you. Okay, now we're to good of the order. I have one item. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I'll do the first one. Okay, this coming Saturday is the farmer's market, first day opening.
Yes. Some nice sign of the weather. How about you? Did you have something?
Yeah, Chief, I just wanted to thank you for bringing your staff in again tonight and letting us be part of that award ceremony.
And can we?
Did you get any of that?
I got a little bit, yes. Thank you for allowing us to have the time, for sure.
And bringing us in and helping us become a little bit more aware of what your staff does for our citizens, for our city. Just tremendous information. I really appreciate it. I know I chatted with you a little bit about trying to get a little deeper involved in that, but thank you very much for bringing them forward.
Of course, and I dropped ride-along packets in everybody's box a week or 2 ago. I would strongly encourage you to come out for a ride-along. We can accommodate that at any hour of the day since we're here 24/7.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just thanks for everybody for reaching out with me missing our last meeting. Those who know, my wife had multiple surgeries while we were out to a funeral back home at my mother. So she is still there, but is on the mend and doing well. I hope that we get word on Thursday that she can come home. Additionally, I also want to thank the chief. That is moving. right? Sometimes it's hard to sit up here and go through some of the things that we do. We have to remember what hard looks like for others, and you and your staff do that hard work. So please take the opportunity to bring more of that to us, because sometimes we need that reminder. And I really meant every word I said to them. We appreciate it. I appreciate what they do every day.
Thank you. I know I did chat with them briefly in the hallway, and they were thankful and appreciative of you guys too. So it goes back and forth.
Yes, I also wanted to thank you for that. I was not kidding. It was by far the most impacting presentation I've seen. I lost count of the number of lives that have been saved. So thank you for that. I appreciated it a lot. There was something else. Oh, go ahead while I try and remember.
Fred, go ahead.
Oh, all right.
Yep, I'll go next.
You all know that next week is a work study, and was this work study supposed to be our semi-modified retreat? I believe it was.
Yes, it is correct.
And in
Put
the
in our
in the
topics.
past, we were supposed to give topics to the mayor, who was going to put them into the agenda. Brandy, do you know if that's happening? Is there any agenda for next week?
Not yet, but it's my understanding he will be back in town, I believe, tomorrow or the following day, and at that point, that's when he's going to probably reach out to you guys as well as staff to get that together.
Yeah, I guess just prepare a thought and send it to Brandy, and probably Brandy and Rob. I have 2 topics, so I'll send them in.
Thank you, Fred, for that reminder. Okay.
Yeah, a couple of things. One is, I don't mean to rain on everybody's parade, but I will chastise the department heads for not bringing good news often enough to us, because both tonight, which was extremely moving, Chief, Dennis, who I gave an opportunity several weeks ago to bring up all the good news happening with the Marina Pump Station and Well 11, and all the good things that are happening with the city, from DCD to admin. I would ask you, please continue to bring those things forward. I can't say enough. I've worked with your police department when I was with the school district, and every time I see Donna, it's always, thank you, Donna, thank you, thank you, thank you for all the help she gave. I think it's a misnomer to say police force nowadays. It's public safety, and that's truly with the life saving. So I will echo what my compadres have said and say thank you again. My last note was on April 4th, this past Saturday, there was a peaceful demonstration in Port Orchard with over 1,700 people attending. And I would like to commend everyone, regardless of their beliefs on every side, for making it a peaceful demonstration. I think that speaks well of the citizens of Port Orchard, and I hope that it continues in that vein. So thank you for everyone out there.
Okay, the last thing I wanted to just advise is that Tacoma Community College dropped their appeal of OC's licensure for the rad tech and sonography program.
Sweet.
I think that was in no small part to all the electeds that got behind it. Gib Morrow from Health District, cities, and other providers, Franciscan Healthcare, and so on. So I think Tacoma Community College saw that there were so many people lined up against them that it did not look well for them. And plus, maybe a new dean might have been kind of involved in that decision by Tacoma. But in any case, it's been dropped, and so that program is moving forward, and they will be expanding their Paulsville campus to assist with that in the future. Good news. Growing our own healthcare professionals. So with that, I guess it is time to, there's no executive session, so I will adjourn the meeting. You can use the gavel. I can use the gavel? There we go.
Very timid dad.
Well,
He's not as loud as you, John.
Yes.